March 11, 2020. A cold, electric night at Anfield. The Champions League anthem echoes across the stands as nearly 55,000 fans roar in unison. Liverpool, the defending champions, are ready for war against Diego Simeone's Atlético Madrid. But what no one knew, no player, no manager, no supporter, was that this night would become far more than just a football match. It would become one of the most controversial events in recent sporting history. At the time, COVID-19 had already started to spread across Europe. Italy had declared a nationwide lockdown. Spain was beginning to shut down cities, and the UK, still open, still letting thousands gather in stadiums. Among those 55,000 at Anfield, around 3,000 Atlético Madrid fans had traveled from Spain, a country already seeing a rapid spike in coronavirus cases. Many questioned whether the match should even go ahead. Medical experts warned of potential disaster. Madrid's schools were closing. Yet UEFA gave the green light. The UK government said there was no need to cancel. The game would go on. On the pitch, the match was pure football chaos. Liverpool dominated the game, equalized the aggregate score, and pushed it to extra time. Roberto Firmino put them 2-0 up, and the home crowd erupted, believing a comeback was complete. But Atletico weren't done. Within minutes, substitute Marcos Llorente stunned the world with two brilliant goals. And in the dying moments, Alvaro Morata sealed it. Final score, 3-2 to Atlético Madrid. Liverpool were out. But the real shock came weeks later. As the virus spread across the UK, Liverpool became a COVID hotspot. Health officials began linking a surge in local cases to that one night at Anfield. In Spain, Madrid's mayor would later admit, it was a mistake. That match should not have been played. This wasn't just a football loss. This was a public health disaster disguised as a sporting event. How did this happen? Who should take the blame? Was it UEFA's decision? The UK government? Or was it the price of normalcy in a world already falling apart? Let's break it all down. This is the story of the match that helped spread COVID. To understand why this match became so controversial, we need to rewind the clock to early March 2020. COVID-19 had already begun to ravage Italy. Serie A games were being played behind closed doors. Borders were tightening. Flights were being grounded. Public gatherings were being banned across much of Europe. In Spain, Madrid was fast becoming a hotspot. The Spanish government was actively warning citizens to avoid travel. Schools were closing. Hospitals were beginning to fill up. Yet, despite this escalating emergency, over 3,000 Atlético Madrid fans boarded planes, trains, and buses and traveled to Liverpool, many unknowingly carrying the virus with them. So, why did the match still happen? The blame game begins with UEFA. At the time, European football's governing body made it clear, matches would continue as planned unless local governments intervened. They weren't going to cancel games voluntarily. Then there's the UK government. Prime Minister Boris Johnson's administration took a far more relaxed stance than most other countries. While other nations were shutting down mass gatherings, the UK claimed there was no scientific reason to cancel sporting events. The Cheltenham Festival also went ahead with over 250,000 attendees across 4 days. The government's strategy was to delay and contain, rather than shut down early. As a result, the Liverpool vs Atlético Madrid game was given the green light. Local authorities in Liverpool were uneasy. Public health officials were reportedly concerned, but without national support, they were powerless to stop the match. Some council members raised objections, but it was too late. On the day of the game, fans from Madrid flooded the streets, bars, and hotels of Liverpool. There was no social distancing, no masks, no awareness of what was about to hit. Most people in the stadium had no idea how dangerous the situation truly was. It felt like just another big European night. In hindsight, scientists now believe that many lives could have been saved if large gatherings like this had been stopped even a few days earlier. The spike in COVID-19 cases in Liverpool after the match was significant. The official government inquiry later admitted there was a clear link between the match and the rise in COVID cases in the region. So who is responsible? UEFA says it followed government guidance. The UK government says they were acting on the advice of scientists at the time. And the fans? Most say they were just following the lead of the authorities. But this wasn't just a failure of leadership. It was a moment where football and politics collided, with deadly consequences. In the days and weeks following the match, the reality began to hit home. COVID-19 cases in Liverpool surged. Hospitals started filling. The city's public health director, Matthew Ashton, said he had serious concerns about the match even before it happened, but there was no official mechanism to stop it. He later told the media, "If I could turn back time, I would have tried harder to cancel it." The data backed him up. Health studies showed a marked increase in cases and deaths in Liverpool that were directly linked to the date of the match. A government-backed analysis estimated that the game had likely contributed to dozens, if not hundreds, of infections. Meanwhile, in Spain, the outrage was just as loud. Madrid, already overwhelmed with cases, now had fans returning from the UK. Spanish newspapers questioned why their citizens were allowed to travel to a country that had no real containment strategy in place. Atletico fans began to speak out. Many admitted they had no idea how serious the virus was at the time, and wouldn't have traveled had they known. Diego Simeone and the Atletico players remained largely silent about the aftermath. The club issued no formal apology or comment about the health risks. Liverpool, on the other hand, was left grappling with a very different kind of loss, not just their Champions League title defense, but their city's health and safety. Fans who had attended the match began testing positive. Social media was flooded with stories from people who believed they caught the virus at Anfield that night. Some even lost family members in the weeks that followed. In response, calls grew for more accountability. Should UEFA have acted sooner? Should the UK government have taken emergency action? Why were economic and sporting interests placed above human life? A parliamentary report published months later found that the UK had been too slow to act, and that events like the Liverpool vs Atletico match likely worsened the early spread of the virus. Yet no one was held officially responsible. It was a painful chapter for a city already wounded by the pandemic. Anfield, once a fortress of joy and passion, was now symbolically tied to one of the most tragic health mistakes in modern football history. And in all of this, the people who suffered most weren't just the fans or the players, but the doctors, the nurses, the frontline workers, and the families who paid the ultimate price for a match that should never have been played. Today, the Liverpool vs Atletico Madrid match is more than just a football story. It stands as a warning, a case study of how quickly sport can become a vessel for something much bigger than a game. A single match, a single decision, can change lives far beyond the pitch. For many fans who were at Anfield that night, the memories are bittersweet. Some describe it as the last moment of joy before the world shut down. Others carry a deep sense of regret, knowing now what they didn't know then. One Liverpool supporter, who lost his father weeks after the game, said in an interview, "We thought it was just another magical European night. But now, I can't hear 'You'll Never Walk Alone' without thinking of that match and what followed." The health community has echoed those feelings. The British Medical Association, several universities, and local health bodies have all referenced the match as an example of poor crisis management. It's even been studied in epidemiology courses as a turning point in the UK's early pandemic response. UEFA has since implemented stricter protocols for public health. Governments have pledged better coordination. But many wonder, will any of that matter the next time politics and profit collide with public safety? There were no trophies lifted that night. No fairy tale comebacks. Just silence in the weeks that followed, as the football world ground to a halt and a pandemic took over. Anfield has since returned to its former glory, filled with singing, passion, and unforgettable moments. But buried deep in its modern history is that one night, March 11, 2020, when football played on, while the world was about to break. In the end, it wasn't just a match. It was a mistake that cost lives. And sometimes, the biggest defeats in football don't happen on the pitch, they happen when the game forgets its place in the bigger picture. This was the match that helped spread COVID. And it changed football forever.